Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Very excited about this episode today. Here with me, I have Jeremy Young out of Yucca Valley. He's a fellow Dayton investor. We met on Instagram. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh man, thank you for having me, brother. I really appreciate it.
Definitely, man.
Really do. So.
Definitely. And for our listeners, this will be a bit of a different episode. It'll be more of a conversation and just kind of a back and forth dialogue between the two of us. We are two investors in Southern California. I'm in Inglewood, so in the LA area, and we both invest in Dayton, which seems to be kind of a mystery market to most people. I'm sure you've experienced this, but when I tell people I invest in Dayton, Ohio, they're like, "Oh, okay, where's that? Is that Cleveland?" And no, it's not Cleveland. It's a tough state. And it's just amazing the reactions people have when I tell them that. It would be one thing if it was, Detroit or Cleveland or some popular city, but Dayton is kind of like some random place. What reaction you get when you tell?
Yeah, so when I tell people about I get kind of the same thing. They'll ask me, where is it? And then they'll say, well, how did you, like, who do you know in Dayton? And I'll say, I don't know anyone. Then they'll say, why did you pick, Dayton? And then I have a list of things in my head, but to the average person, like if I tell them, it won't really mean anything to them. And so when an investor asks me, then that's when I can kind of break it down to like what I saw in the area that actually, made me think, I think this place has some promise. And so definitely say why you picked there, who that's in that area, and where is Dayton. I don't even know where that is, brother.
Definitely. It's so funny, man. And the who thing, that gets me sometimes. But from the average person's perspective, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we naturally just think more of like security, and if we're doing something out of state, we want to know someone there. And even some investors have told me that. But for me, it's like, no, I don't have a connection to Dayton. I have a connection to cash flow. But
for real,
I don't know anybody there. Or even like sometimes people say they wouldn't invest where they wouldn't live, and I'm like, does it make money though?
man, for real. It's Dayton. It's an interesting place. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely, those reactions are, I enjoy them. And then when people tell me, man, like you said, when they'll say like, oh, I don't even want to invest in some place, where I can't see, I can't feel, I can't touch. And, I'll tell them, I'm like, look, even if I invest in my city, I don't want to go to this house every single day anyway. I want to do other stuff. If I have a tenant that live around the corner from me, I don't want to see that tenant every day. I want to see that tenant, maybe a few times a year, maybe, and then let that just be it. So I don't care if it's out of state, cross country, any place, you know what I'm saying? If the numbers make sense, it cash flows, I get my systems in place, then it's good. I'm good to go.
I feel it. So talk to us more about how you even, I guess when you started trying to look into markets, how did you even find Dayton? How did that even come up in your research?
Okay. So the first place I looked at, I Googled real estate investing, and how I got on real estate investing was because I wanted to buy a house. And at the time, I was somehow a Grant Cardone video popped up on YouTube. And so I'm like, who's this guy talking about this 10X stuff, whatever. And so I clicked on his video, started watching his stuff. And then, people that's familiar with Grant Cardone, he is not in favor of you buying your own home. He's like, oh, that's dumb. That's the dumbest thing you could do, and all this other stuff. So I said, okay, started to do more research and somehow landed on Bigger Pockets. And on Bigger Pockets, they have like, anytime someone like asks a question, they seem to have like a lot of the same people answering the questions, whether they're in the same market that the person is asking or not. So there was this guy, James Wise from Houghton Wise. I guess he's like really big in the Cleveland area. So he was answering people's questions, and I looked on his page. He has a YouTube page as well. So I started looking in the Cleveland area, and it was just something about the bigger cities that I don't know, it didn't really make sense to me. Like, I can see someone being profitable in it, but it was just so big that I'm like, man, like, one block, it was amazing. The next block, it was terrible. The next block, it was $1 million home. The next block, it was a $20,000 home. So it didn't, I couldn't understand it from a new investor's perspective. So I said, okay, well, if people are, buying in Cleveland, let me look around that area, maybe within a 2 to 3 hour radius. So I saw Columbus, I saw Cincinnati, and then I saw this little city like in the middle of them called Dayton. And since I'm from Yucca Valley, not from Yucca Valley, I live in Yucca Valley, and we have a pretty good real estate market not a lot of people know about. So I was like, well, I know Columbus is on fire. I'm kind of priced out of that market because I should have bought in Columbus 10 years ago, and kind of the same with Cincinnati. But this little city called Dayton, let me look more into that place. So I started to look more into Dayton, and my price range was about 35,000 and under. And I was looking for something like a property that fulfills like the 2%, the 1% rule. But in the Midwest, they say you can get it up to like 3 to 4%. So when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna try and find something that I can get at least the 2%. So Dayton, all the numbers hit. They are, from an economic standpoint, they are still recovering from like the market crash and the economic hard times. So they haven't fully reached their stride, but I've seen performance indicators that are telling me that it's moving in the right direction. So once I saw that, I did a bunch of research just in real estate in general, because I didn't quite know what I felt I needed to know in order to make that leap. And then once I studied, man, eventually I said, you know what, I got to pull the trigger. There's only so many books I can read, so many podcasts I can listen to, so many people I can talk to. And eventually I figured it was time, once I started hearing the same thing from different people. Like once I start hearing the same information, it's like, okay, you've been sitting on the sidelines long enough. It's time to get in the game and and make some moves. So that's kind of how I came to start investing in Dayton, man. Definitely. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's just a couple of quick follow-up questions. I don't want to lose them. Can you explain to our listeners like the 1%, 2% rule and what that means for those who may not know?
Okay, so the 1% rule generally states that whatever you buy the property for, it should rent for at least 1% of the total purchase price. So for example, let's say you buy a house for $100,000. The general rule is it should rent for at least $1,000. So when I was looking in the Dayton market and I saw houses for like 20,000, 25,000 that can rent for potentially $750, I'm like, man, that blows the 1% rule out the water. Like that's, I look for houses in the 1% for the 1% rule, like in California, and I didn't see it. I kind of got close to it, but not quite. So, but in general, that's what it is. Is whatever your purchase price is, you should be able to rent your property for at least 1% of the total purchase price.
For sure. And what are some of the performance indicators that kind of let you know, this could be a good place to invest?
So one of the things that I looked at was the job growth, and to see. So what I was looking for was, I didn't need massive job growth, but I just needed to see positive job growth. So positive things that were coming in and infusing into the economy to be able to create jobs. I wanted the economy to, it was diversified, but I wanted to see more jobs in different sectors being brought into the city. So I looked at the blueprints, like certain planning of Dayton. So, and I liked what I saw. I saw that the population, so that people are always talking about like, oh, Midwest cities, they have the population is declining, right? So when I looked at Dayton from where it is now up until in 2010, the decline was decreasing. So it was coming down. Let's say 10 years ago, population was decreasing by like 20%. Then 5 years ago, it was decreasing by 8%. And then 2 years ago, now it's decreasing by 1%. So I'm taking a risk, and I'm going to assume that it's going to go from decreasing by 1% to now increasing. If we're going to stay on the projected 10-year path, that it's going to start increasing 3%, 4%, 5%, so that I see that it's increasing with Cincinnati. I see that it's increasing with Columbus, and this place is smack dab in the middle. So for someone that, I live in Yucca Valley, but I went to school in San Bernardino. And so I understand the like cities that are an hour away. Dayton is about an hour away from Cincinnati. So an hour away, that's nothing. Like I would work if I lived in Dayton and I had a good job offer in Cincinnati. I would work in Dayton and live in Cincinnati. I mean, for my IE people, Rancho Cucamonga, San Bernardino, Ontario, all those places, people left Los Angeles, went and traveled out to the IE, and then worked in Los Angeles. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so the distance is fine. I know people wouldn't mind doing that. And I see the economic development of those two cities, and I'm just waiting for the one for Dayton to kind of bridge that gap between Cincinnati, and Columbus.
Definitely. That's great,
Yeah,
man. That's great. And then for me, it was interesting. The city was never on my radar, to be honest with you. And I had been researching at that point, it's like the summertime, I had been researching for maybe about a little under a year, just trying to figure it out. Like I knew I was gonna go out of state, and that would be like my first investment. And I got connected to this turnkey company in Dayton. Like the person who connected me to them connected me to one in St. Louis, connected me to one in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis didn't reply, Dayton replied. And these folks, they sent me market reports. So I was able to see kind of the economic growth, as you mentioned, in the city, the job market, the high renter population. I think it's over 50% renters in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was reading through, I'm like, wow, there's a big Air Force base, aerospace is big, healthcare, IT. All this money has been invested in downtown, like $1 billion in the last decade, pretty much. Startups are coming there. Unemployment is pretty low. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I learned more kind of when I was almost done with my closing process. I kind of stumbled upon all these redevelopment plans for like the West Side, Northwest, and all these different parts of the city. And I'm like, you know what? There's revitalization coming. There's, like, as you mentioned, there's all these indicators of a city that's going to do well. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't care if I never heard of it. I'm gonna go out and visit, and I'm gonna talk to these people. So for me, I was sold even before I got there. I'm like, wow, I think, and the thing is, I looked on Bigger Pockets, and I'm like, I can't find anything about this. I mean, it's probably a couple posts a year, and I'm like, you know what? This could be a best kept secret, because a lot of the other Midwest markets that are still relatively cheap to get into, they're very popular. So I think there's an advantage in getting into Dayton while it's not popular yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. I forgot to mention Toledo as well. That was what I had looked at Toledo as well. But no, you're definitely right. I felt like, when I was looking at places, didn't have a whole lot of competition from like big pocket investors, and then they tended to move towards like the Clevelands, the Cincinnatis, the Columbuses, and things like that. And so I kind of felt like if no one's really looking at it, number one, I'm not going to shout it to the heavens like, hey, come over here and look at Dayton, because I don't have big pockets like that. But I Dayton is I didn't even. It's funny because I didn't even visit Dayton. Like when I bought it, I didn't even visit. I just bought it. Like it
Yeah.
was like I just visited. Like I bought it in August, and I just visited maybe a few weeks ago. So, um, yeah, that's how like I was like, yeah, this is the one, and so that's cool though, man. Yeah,
Definitely. Definitely.
absolutely.
So tell us more about that. Tell us about what your deal looked like. How you found the property, all those details.
Okay, so it's a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,400 square feet. I found it on the MLS, and one thing I noticed, like when I picked my real estate agent, when I was talking to people, and from people that didn't look like me, right? They were telling me, "Oh man, this area is terrible, man. It's a war zone." I kept, that's the yeah, the war zone thing. I'm like, all right, and stay away from those. And then they were trying to show me like these $100,000, $200,000 property. I'm like, dude, I'm from California. If I wanted to buy, a $200,000 property, I'll buy it in Yucca Valley. But I don't want to do that. I want to get something cheaper. And so I kept getting the runaround with different real estate agents. So what I did was I looked for the real estate agents that were um, not only buying but also selling in the price range that I wanted, and it only bought and sold in that price range.
Mm.
So only bought within $40,000 or less, nothing above that. And then I filtered that out to real estate agents that look like me, because I felt like when I talk to them, they can understand what I'm trying to do. Like I'm not looking for the places with the white picket fences that, it's a dog running in the yard and everybody's just happy go lucky. I don't mind it being a little rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? Because, people, I come from that area, and I feel like I wanted a nice place to live too. So I found a real estate agent, um, and we clicked. All the questions that I asked her about the area, she gave me her honest opinion as much as she could as a real estate agent, because I guess you can't like tell people certain things. But she did tell me that it's just a regular area, regular people, and they're just looking to have a nice place to live. One thing I did though, I looked on city data, and any place that I potentially wanted to buy, I tracked down that area and I looked at the the household income block by block, and then I spread it out within like a 10 to 15 block radius. So the place that I ended up buying, the medium income is like 26,000. But then if you go 3 streets over, it jumps up to $70,000. And literally, like if you go 3 streets over, houses are really nice and things like that. I mean, my street is nice too, but those are just $70,000 income. You're gonna live a little different. So uh man, what was I saying? Yeah, so I did that. It had a Section 8 tenant in the place when I was living there. Um, I was kind of skeptical about keeping the tenant, because people say, it's kind of mixed between you want to keep the tenant or you want to kick the tenant out. And so if you ask 100 real estate investors, 50 will say kick them out, 50 will say keep them. So I was like, okay, well, it's bringing in cash flow. So I know I'll be cash flowing day one. All right, let's try it. What the heck? Let's just go with it. So I ended up purchasing it, and then like the week after I purchased it, the tenant told me they were moving out, which I was like, all right. So that was kind of like my first my first taste of I don't want to say adversity, but my first like test where I had to come up with a solution, because it's like, okay, now you bought this house, now you ain't got no cash flow. Now you got to get another tenant, and you live all the way over here. How are you gonna make it work? So yeah, just ended up doing that, and it was a pretty solid place. I mean, it really didn't need much to. Let me see. So far, I painted the place, um, like the kitchen and the bathroom and the bedrooms. Painted them. Um, changed the toilet flush handle, and changed the locks, man. And that was it.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty good for me ever since, man.
That's awesome, man. And what was the purchase price on that house?
So I bought it for 24,500. So it was yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the tenant that was in it, they were paying $495. So, if you round that to an even 5, that's what I'm saying, that's about a 2% rule. If we go back to the percentage rule, where I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that wasn't the only thing that I looked at, but it was pretty good for my first try, I thought. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And how did you finance that? How did you get the money to pay for it?
So I used a mixture of savings, business credit, and some personal credit. And so for my savings, so I'm married, me and my wife, and we have 3 kids. So we had been wanting to buy a house for about a few years now, and we just been saving. And a big thing that we did was we would take like our refund check that we would get, because we got 3 kids, and we wouldn't spend it. We wouldn't do nothing with it. We'll just put it away, and in order to achieve what we want to achieve. And so, we didn't even look at it. We put it in a whole different account that we don't even spend, because we don't even want to look at it. Just put it away. And then when the right opportunity will present itself, we'll put a trigger and be able to get it done. We used, I used some personal credit for some closing costs. And then the rest was, I think we had 10,000 in business credit, 10,000 for 10,000 in business credit, about 10 to 12 for our personal savings, and then the rest was like our personal credit. And the business credit, so this is my business partner, my wife. She has very good credit. This is man, if you're married, whew, get somebody with some good credit, bro. Man, I'm telling you. So she had good credit. We were able to get, some business credit, and we were able to use that in order for to apply that to our purchase prices as well. So we just used a combination of the resources that we had available to us, because it was hard for us to get a mortgage because I have a lot of student loan debt, and then they use my total student loan, 1% of that, and they apply it to like my overall debt. So it was really hard for us to get a loan. So we had to get creative, and so we ended up not letting that stop us and being able to just put money away, and we ended up getting it done, man. That was huge for sure.
For sure. I know when we met up, we spoke a bit about this, but for our listeners, can you explain, get some more detail, the business credit part of it, and how you got the business credit, how you were able to use it, and also the personal credit as well? I think, a lot of people mention they don't have the finances and things of that nature, but from our previous conversation, it seems like business credit can fill the gap a bit and help people to finance deals.
Yeah. So how I got the business credit was, we went online to Chase. She applied, and she applied as a sole proprietor. Like, I know some people say you have to have an LLC, or you have to apply for LLC and things like that. I'm pretty sure you'll probably get approved more, maybe, I'm not sure, but I know we did it as a sole proprietorship, and she was able to get the money. So we have Schools First Credit Union, and I'm not sure if every bank does this or what, but if you do a credit card transfer from like debt, and Chase asked us how much did we want to transfer. So I'm thinking, like, technically you can put whatever you want, and all they will do is just deposit that money into that bank. So what we did was just said, okay, well, we want this amount to do a credit card transfer, and they took the amount off the credit card and put it in our Schools First Credit Union bank. So we were able to do the transfer that way. Like you wouldn't be able to go to like a Chase ATM and pull out $10,000, $12,000 from an ATM. That's not going to happen. So you have to do, at least from how we did it, was to do the credit card transfer. And from on the personal side, we have Navy Federal. And so we did the same thing with Navy Federal just for our closing costs. So we did a credit card transfer, took however much money we wanted, and told them to transfer that to Schools First. For some reason, Schools First, they'll just take whatever another bank sends them. Like I've had other banks where if we were to try to do that, they would make you pay off whatever debt that you have with that institution. And if you don't have any debt with that institution, then they just send that money back to the bank that just sent it to them, if that makes sense. So Schools First, they didn't do that. They just got the money from Navy Federal and from Chase and just put it in our account. And then that was it. So, yeah, like it was, I was like, oh, and this is all like, we had never done this before. I had watched a couple YouTube videos, and we just tried it out, and it just happened to work. And then we used that money and bought the asset.
Got it.
Yeah,
so
it's
you did like a balance transfer, if I'm
yeah,
understanding correctly. Okay, got it.
basically, yeah, balance transfer, but technically we didn't have a balance because we didn't want to carry any debt. So technically we didn't even have a balance, but they still allowed us to do the balance transfer.
Wow.
And because I don't know, they just did. So, and so, yeah, I think her credit score when she got it was about 725. So when we got that, it wasn't super high, but it was high enough, I guess, for Chase. So, yeah, I mean, business credit, and the good thing about it is it doesn't report like to our personal credit report. So if another bank, or if we ever want to get a mortgage and they looked on our credit report, we may have like $50,000 in business credit, but it won't show up on our credit report, which is good because that'll save us from going over our debt to income ratio. So yeah, man, but the business credit, I would say if you're looking for some way to like infuse your business, and whatever business, not only real estate, whatever business you have, to get some extra capital to work with, business credit is the way to go for sure.
Definitely. And would you say like just calling up banks and seeing what kind of products and credit lines they offer, would that just be a good first step for somebody who has like a business, whether it's like some type of corporation or LLC, sole proprietorship? Would you say just kind of get on the phone or get online and see what they can offer?
Absolutely. And I would say, even though we went through Chase, I wouldn't even suggest like the Chases or the Bank of America's, just credit unions. And like I'm not in the military and she's not in the military, so we were able to get a Navy Federal account because my dad, he's a retired Marine. So if you can use family members for these different type of credit unions that you can get attached to or get associated with, that's awesome, man. Like do that and get on the phone and call, ask them, tell them what your scores are. And sometimes, not always, but you can kind of get a gauge for like what type of rates you can get with certain credit scores. Not if you'll be approved or not, but what type of rates that you can possibly get for certain bank loans or lines of credit and things like that. But you got to call, got to ask, got to talk to the right people, because once you get someone that really likes you, that really, that believes in what you're trying to do, then they can definitely help you out. And so, I haven't done that with Navy Federal on the business side. I've done that on the personal side. So I got to get on it with the business side though. But with the personal side, yeah, like we got some people that look out for us for sure.
Definitely. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. Definitely took some creative financing, and I just like that you kind of turned over every stone and just like, look, how can we get this done? How can we, get our foot in the door? And, you figured out a way to get it done. you know. So I think that's really cool. You know, a lot of us, we just get stumped, but you know, when there's something in front of you that you want, you'd be surprised how creative you can get to figure out how to get.
Man, man, it's really because I mean, it's a lot of different ways you can do this. There's a lot of different ways you can get in the game. And for my thinking was, I was like, man, if I can just get in, my first deal doesn't necessarily have to make me so much money. I just want the experience and I just want the knowledge. I know I'm gonna make some mistakes. Fine, that's cool. But I'm not thinking, you know, I'm gonna get in for a year and get out. If I play the long game, I think 30 years out, the wins they're gonna overshadow any type of loss I can have. Because at the end of the day, a house is a house. Like it's you know, how it's an asset. I don't care if it don't appreciate one day. I know somebody's gonna pay me to live there. So and that's kind of like how I went into it. And I thought, you know, man, I spent so much money over the years on like other stuff that I could have bought however many houses by now. And I'm like, man, 24 grand, that's a drop in the bucket compared to, you know, what I'm gonna spend over a lifetime just on stuff. So I you know, that's kind of like how I went to it. And I'm like, well, how dare I let me not having the money stop me from doing this? Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about my kids and doing it for them and showing them a better way. So if I can do that for them, I mean, I feel like I'll be doing them a disservice if I just let, you know, somebody tell me, no, stop me. That'd be kind of crazy.
Definitely, sure. Man. And your crib is on the west side of Dayton, right?
Yeah. So it's like maybe a 5-10 minutes tops from downtown, and it's off of Main Street as well, but it's not Salem.
What's the zip code?
45406.
Got you. Yes, I think it's really cool. I think it's even cooler that you're on the west side because it's crazy. I learned so much more when I left after I visited. I didn't realize that the west side, like I was trying to look for some good food. I couldn't find any, but I didn't realize that the west side was historically black. And that's kind of, you know, where our community historically has been, I guess, probably to this day. So I think that's even cooler, man, that you know, you're in our community, man.
Yeah. No, that's I wanted to make it a point, man. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So, but we have to go out there together, man. One of these days, man. I feel like I'm a local now. I can take you to the spots where I was eating. I was out there grubbing.
Yo, man. Grubbing. Yeah, I'm trying to yeah, definitely want to go like in the first part of next year. That would be really dope, man. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. That's dope. Thanks for breaking that down for us. Mm-hmm. So for me, the way my deal went, so at the time when I was doing the research and stuff, I was kind of just like shooting in the dark, if you will. And so I came across turnkey investing, and I'm like, oh, you know, this looks pretty cool. Oh, they rehab stuff for investors and they're pretty much done. I guess this is the only way you could do it out of state. That's just, you know, all I knew at the time. And I've learned a lot more since then. But, you know, I went out there in July. They showed me all around the city. We drove everywhere. We saw a bunch of their properties. So stuff that was gutted, stuff that was sold, stuff that was in the middle of rehab. And also, so for our listeners, so turnkey companies, they buy distressed properties, they rehab them, and they sell them to investors. So they essentially like flip homes to investors. Okay. And I just assumed, I'm like, oh, I guess this is the only way you could do it. So, and I'm like, all right, this seems cool. And so fast forward to September, there was a property I was interested in. The first one, cash buyer purchased it, but I'm actually kind of glad I didn't get that one. It was in the one I initially wanted was in Middletown, which is between, I think it's a little bit south, maybe like 30, it's like a half hour south of Dayton, a little closer to the Cincinnati direction. It's probably, it's like a working class neighborhood. Amazon was built, their fulfillment center is going to be near that neighborhood. But the other property, my second choice, was on Drummer Avenue, which is about 2.5 miles east of downtown near the Oregon District, which is apparently pretty.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
that's the one that was available. And looking back, I'm glad it was because the location is just better. So it's like 2.5 miles from downtown. I don't even think it's 10 minutes. So it's interesting. We're both very close to downtown. So the
That's a
purchase
nice
price,
area.
yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah,
It's cool. Like when I
that's a
was
nice
over
area.
there, where my house is at specifically, it's kind of like by the freeway. I don't know if it's a 35. I don't remember. The immediate area around it is kind of like whatever. It's like a regular neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to the Oregon District, you get to downtown really in minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
if I was over there, average person, that would be a cool place to live because you're very close to everything, right?
Yeah.
So the purchase price was 90. I had to put down 20% plus closing costs. So prior to that, early in the year, really like a year before, I'm like, look, I know I'm trying to do this next year. I need to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped paying my student loans for a year. I put them in forbearance to save up the money. And I think at that point I was paying like maybe $500 a month. So I just put it in forbearance. Yeah, I was on it. That was like I guess the highest payment plan. I don't know why I was doing that, but I guess I got ahead. I was doing that for like 5 years, and looking back, I would have just done minimum for as much as possible, and so I could whatever. Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
And so in the beginning of this year, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm like, all right, I need to figure out how to find money fast. And I called up my retirement. I'm like, hey, how can I get some money? And they said, okay, well, you can withdraw everything you have in here, or you can take a loan. You can do a 401k loan, or have 403bs, same thing. And they basically said you can borrow half of it over a 5-year term and pay yourself back with interest. I think it's maybe 6.5%, 7%. But you're just putting it back into the plan.
Right. That's cool.
And I'm like, okay, let me see what the numbers would look like. So the payment, I think, was like 300 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And something else I also discovered is I was giving more than the employee matched to my retirement. I was giving 7%, they only matched 3%. So basically the difference between, if I dropped down to 3%,
mm-hmm.
that difference between the 3 and the 7 would cover the payment. So it wouldn't really affect my finance. I'm like, all right, cool. So I had the money. So I was able to, do the down payment and all that. We closed in about a month, and it's 3-bed, 2-bath. I think it's about 1,750 square feet.
It's a good size.
Yeah, it's a pretty good size.
Yeah,
3-bed, 2-bath. It's a pretty big lot on it as well. So I mean, I don't know. I guess they have a dog that can run around. So it's cool. It rents for $950 because they included pet rent. The mortgage, tax, and insurance is $453. Property management is $95, and so there's about $400 left after expenses.
Nice.
So I mean, it's cool, and it got me in the game. And as I was getting closer to the finish line on closing, I realized I just started meeting people. I met different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, you talk to people, right? You're like, oh, hey, how much did you buy for? How much work you had to put in?" And I met a woman on Bigger Pockets. Man, she bought a home. I think it was for $34,000, for $42,000. One of them needed nothing. The other one needed like I think paint, carpet, and like a rail on the outside. And she said she financed both of them. And I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, you can finance a property that's that cheap. And second of all, you can find properties that cheap that are done. I'm like, I had no idea. And I just kept meeting people like on Instagram or Bigger Pockets. And I'm like, okay, let me do this just to get me in the game. And after this, I'm going cheaper, but I'm like, I'm not going to back out. And the one thing I realized is that I learned all those things because I was taking action. Yeah. Like I was doing something. I was buying something. And like you said, it doesn't have to be the biggest moneymaker, but you learn by just doing stuff. You learn by like I would have never known. I would have never known if I wasn't like hitting people up or if I wasn't like on Instagram or whatever, So
Not, man, that's really true, man. Like the stuff that I learned after the fact from talking to people, like I so I remember I was telling you about the student loan thing, right? So I guess first of all, I didn't know you can get a loan that cheap. So I probably would have got a loan if I knew that you can get one for $25,000. But if what I learned about the student loan thing was if you are paying anything over $0, then they'll count that as like they'll count that on your credit report. So for example, let's say I got student loans and that's like $30,000. If I'm not paying anything and if I'm not paying anything on them, the bank will automatically take 1% of that and apply that like you're paying it every month. So they'll take a $300 payment and put that towards my debt to income. But if I set up a plan and I'm paying like $25 on my student loans, then they'll take that $25 and put that on my credit report. And I found that out just by talking with people, but it was after the fact. So now on my loans now, I'm paying like $48. Like I'm paying the minimum, but I'm doing that so that on the next one now, I'm gonna get it financed because I won't have no big old chunk hanging over me for my debt to income ratio. So that, like you said, man, just talking with people and what's funny? Because I think did she post that on a thread on Bigger Pockets or did she talk to you directly?
she's supposed to be direct. I think her name is Caroline Jones. It's a black woman.
Man,
she's in the sub 30K group on Facebook that we're in.
Because I saw someone say that and I was like,
yeah. What? She's cool. You should talk to her, man. She's really, really
Carolyn
responsible.
Jones?
Her name is
I'm gonna definitely hit her up.
I think I got her
for
name
sure.
wrong. But we're like pen pals. We were talking, I think, last week, and she said that she went out so she referred me to a realtor who's probably gonna help me with the next deal. And I just look at listings from her. And she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. How's the tenant? How's the home and everything? And she said, oh, I'm going out to look today. I got my pre-approval and I'm going out to look with Rachel today. And she's under contract for a package deal for two single family homes for Courtney Jones. Yeah. Did I say Caroline?
You said Caroline.
Oh, Courtney Jones.
I'm gonna write this in my phone because.
Yeah. So she's under contract for a package deal, I think for $68,000 for two homes.
Awesome.
So she's adding, door 3 and 4. She was in Oregon and she moved to Dayton within the last 6 months. Yeah, she moved there. And
that's.
Yeah. I think her daughter's an investor too. She doesn't live too far from where my house is at. She lives pretty close. She probably could get there in a couple minutes. I might actually do a drive-by just to make sure stuff's going well.
Man, that for real. I'm going back out there in the summer, so but I'm gonna have to I'm gonna hit her up because I'm always, since I'm not out there, like I have a realtor, but I mean I would love to have 5 different realtors and be able to. Because I don't want to be pigeonholed just to one person. So I mean I'm always down to meet and connect with other people and see how I can add value to them as well. So
definitely. And I can connect you to the realtor that she referred to me. I think she has like 115 single family home listings. She sent me under 50. We'll talk more offline. I'll send you the information.
Cool.
But yeah, man, as you were saying, just learning by taking action. So there's some things, and I'll toss it back to you. I guess I'll toss it back to you. There's some things. Hindsight is 2020. There's always something you would have done differently, that you would have looked into. I think for me, I kind of bought into the forums too much. So, for those who are familiar with Bigger Pockets, it's a real estate forum. It has a lot of great resources, a lot of articles that really helped me out. But the thing about it is that people have their own personal interests and people have their own biases and things of that nature. You hear a lot of talk about war zones, which is where neighborhoods where a lot of Black and brown people live. People are saying stay away from it. People saying, oh, you want to be in class A, you want to be in class B. And that's, I guess, the desirability of a neighborhood or whatever. Um, I think that's the first thing I did. And I think I would have also explored other ways to um, other methods of purchasing besides turnkey. Because I'll be honest with you, when we did the inspection for my house,
Mm-hmm.
bruh, the report was like 100 pages, and in my mind, I'm like, if it's turnkey, why in the world is there an issue with the stairs? And the thing is, it class the inspector was great. It classified things by the severity of it. So the red was
Okay.
like, this is a safety
Wow.
hazard, and there was
That's
like
good.
there was a bunch of stuff that was like, he's super detail oriented, so he included it, but it's stuff that you don't. It's not even worth. It's like, who cares if there's a leaf on the windowsill? That's just, I'm exaggerating, but stuff like small stuff that's just not important.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there were some big ticket items, and it's like, why isn't the chimney the way it's supposed to be? Why, um, why aren't not a safety thing, but just attention to detail. Like, why is the door not aligned properly? Why can't it close properly? So for me, I never went inside of that house, but the inspection was so good, you see every corner of it. And so for me, it's like, wait, if it's supposed to be turnkey, why in the world have these things not been addressed? Like, it's just attention to detail stuff. And so we kind of went back and agreed on a set of things that they would fix, which they did. Pretty much everything they fixed, the same pictures and updates and all that stuff, videos or whatever needed to. It's like stuff like the hot water wasn't working. It's like, how could you miss that? You know what I mean? Like, this is like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or like the water pressure, stuff like that. But they verified all that stuff in like a couple of weeks. We were still able to close in about a month. And so that's like the one thing I would say. I think even now there were two outstanding things by the time we closed. They had to cut the trees, like trim the trees, and I think cap the chimney and do something else with the chimney. It's December, okay? And mind you, they're coming out of pocket with all this stuff. Just last week, they said they cut the trees. They needed somebody to send the pictures, but I closed like 2 months ago.
Right.
And also, like the chimney stuff, they think I think they need a specialist. Like, it's not like the tenant is cool. It's not unsafe for him to live there or anything. But it's like, if it's supposed to be ready, and I'm paying all this money, whereas I could have probably paid 40, just sent out some contractor, got the carpet or paint or whatever, and it would have been done. So for me, it's like, I don't like the fact that, I mean, it's not coming out of my pocket, so I'm not super pressed about it. But I'd rather be the one in direct contact with the contractor, making sure stuff gets done. Because now I'm just kind of like, it's kind of like, if they were making excuses, and I trust they're in good faith, but I'm just not in enough control of what's going on as far as like making sure things are right. So that's another thing. So I mean, I'm glad I did it though, because I would have never found out about the Dayton market, and so I'm really grateful for that. But people have asked me about turnkey and things of that nature. I don't think you have to do it. I think you can get a turnkey property from a realtor, something that's ready to go. Maybe need some minor stuff like yours did, and then just go from there. I kind of went on a tangent, but I lost where we were.
You were talking about just why, like what you could have done differently.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would have said that, not trusting like the forum so much and kind of, yeah, I would say that. But I mean, with that, the good thing is like, I already know I have a game plan for the next one. I know like I know I know more people who have purchased for like cheap prices. And so, kind of started to build a network out with you and some other folks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think that's like the main thing I would have done differently, but it's easy to say that after you've done it. What about you, man?
Um, I think for me, I wish I would have talked to like gotten to know more people in the Dayton area before I bought, because so like you bought yours and you at least had some eyes kind of on the ground. Um, I I had my realtor, which is a great realtor, but doesn't really know like about certain repairs. And man, just so got the inspection as well. But man, some stuff was missed on the inspection. Nothing major, nothing to where the house wasn't functional or anything like that. But like, let me see. I had to like align like a window or so, like a window was crooked. Like when I came in when the tenant was moving out, and like a window was being held up by like a wooden stick. And I'm like, wooden stick. All right, you know what I'm saying? But so it just stuff like that, to where it was missing like a screw or something. I had to go to Lowe's or something like that to get it fixed. And so, but like if or like, well, I think, I don't know if I said it on screen, but like the sewer drain, it was like it's like some weeds or something in the sewer drain. It was being stopped up. Now, coming from California, we don't have basements, so I don't know to go in the basement and get like the snake thing and put it in. I didn't know all that, and I guess realtor didn't know that, and I guess the inspection guy didn't do it. So, and so if I had like a local person that, like a local investor, not just a person, a local investor, they could say, hey, you better go ahead and get that snake and go ahead and look in the sewer drain, make sure it's all good. So just little stuff like that, where it's kind of like, it was an oversight. And I mean, it has to be on my part. I have to take all the blame for it, which is cool. But just moving forward, now I know, like, okay, when I talk to the inspector, specifically tell him, hey, can you please look at this item? Can you please check for that none of the windows have, sticks holding? I'm like, man, what did you inspect? But so, but it's all good. And so I also wish I would have talked to more people about lower mortgages you can get for under 30K. Listening to the blogs and things like that. Oh, you can't get a mortgage for 20,000, 25,000. You can't do it. It has to be at least 50, 60, 80. And I'm like, oh, well, if it's on the blogs, it must be true. So I didn't even ask, didn't even think to even do that. So just things like that, where I know that I need to tweak for next time. And I'm just thankful, by the grace of God, it didn't deter me. I didn't have such a terrible first experience that I was totally put off by it, because that can happen. I get somebody $30,000, $25,000 cash, and I don't want it to be no money pit. You know what I'm saying? So and it's not, and it's doing well. So just things that I know now that I need to tighten up on for next time, so that I can have a more polished eye, and a more astute, being more of a more astute investor when it comes to this specific market, and what to ask the right questions.
Definitely.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
What bank did you use? Did you use a local bank in Ohio, or?
Good question. So I used Security National Mortgage Company. They so the folks that connected me to, so turnkey companies work with what are called, like, I guess, marketers, and they help them to source clients. So have you heard of have you ever seen like Narada Real Estate on Bigger Pockets or anything, or any forums? Have you heard of them at all?
I have. Let me see. Narada. That sounds so familiar. I want to say the guy James Wise promotes Narada Real Estate. I've seen their ads, and so
yeah. So they're the ones who referred me to these folks. So they referred me to a lender, Security National Mortgage Company. So we did the pre-qual in probably like June. We did it a while back, but yeah, I got it through them. I don't know how low they go. I asked them. I'm not sure how low they go. I asked them maybe after our close, like, what's the lowest mortgage you would do? I can't remember what they said, but I mean, they were pretty cool. All the paperwork and all that stuff was straightforward. They really held my hand. Like, I was calling them every day. Like, what does this mean? What is this paper? I don't understand this. What does this mean? So I mean, the process was not unpleasant as far as with the lender. It was fine. But I heard like Chemical Bank. Courtney told me Chemical Bank does like, mortgages for like lower price homes. But yeah, Security National Mortgage Company, they're like a nationwide company. They were good. I had no zero complaints about them. They did right by me. Um, they over communicate. It's kind of annoying, but mail and stuff. But I
Man,
mean,
I
it's
love
cool. I
that.
have zero complaints. Yeah, they were good. They were very good. Um,
Nice. Nice. Okay.
Definitely, man.
Okay.
It's interesting. The theme I'm picking up is that we did not know everything, but what I always tell people, because people just, it's interesting, man. Some people are just too smart for their own good. Like you follow Aisha Seldon?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She put up a post today. I think it said I'm gonna pull it up. But basically, what I try to tell people, man, is stop trying to know everything. You need to know enough to get to the finish line, and you just figure it out from there. Like
Mm-hmm.
the problem people have is they try to have everything done, everything perfect. Like I still don't know some stuff. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even know that your mortgage, tax, and insurance is in one payment in escrow. I didn't know any of that stuff, and I'm asking like, wait, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, this is how it works. We put it into an escrow account, then we pay your tax. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So when I got my insurance, I just paid it. I didn't know that it was supposed to be included in the mortgage. Like I didn't know any of that. So they had to like refund me the money. Like I didn't know. Um, she said the smartest people are often the brokest and most stagnant. They think they're way clean out of taking action. And for me, it's like
That's
I'm sure you know a whole lot of people who are, yeah, you're
real.
smart. You question everything, but you don't do nothing. You know what I mean? Like with all due respect, like we are learning by doing. We're learning by doing, right? We
Mhm.
know every deal is just gonna get better and better because we learn more by doing. So I think that's very powerful.
Man, and the thing is, like, in this business, yeah, you can run the numbers, and you can try and figure out how can I make this the best possible investment ever. But we're also like we're interacting with human beings. So you know what I'm saying? Like we're interacting with contractors, we're interacting with real estate agents, we're interacting with property management companies. These are all human beings. So as much as we try to think about the perfect situation, the perfect scenario in which we can make 100% of our money year after year, and it's just going to be lovely and great. That's not a reality, and we have to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be okay with, you know what, I I I I may have a bad month. You know what I'm saying? I may have a bad contractor that I pay to do something and they don't get it done and I can't get in touch with them no more. I may have to, things happen and they're not a part of our calculations. So we have to be able to learn how to, just adjust, man. I'm okay with not knowing. That doesn't it doesn't scare me. It doesn't really scare me anymore. The thing that I was like, oh man, I don't want that to happen. It's just me to be afraid to just take the risk, man. Like it's like I told my wife, I was like, look, we're gonna buy it, you know. The worst case scenario, I like to do worst case. In the worst case scenario, it goes terrible. We lose all of our money. We bankrupt. Whatever. I'm like, we just start over. And now I have one way of doing something, and I know, okay, let's tweak it a little bit and let's do something a little different next time. But just I know it sounds easy to say, oh, just start over. But I mean, what's the alternative? The alternative is never trying, and you be one of the people that, you don't have no money, but you can tell everybody how to make it. I don't have no money, but I can tell you how to spend your money. Like, I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to have it and then be able to inform people on, how I did it. I don't like to tell people what they should do. I'm just going to tell you how I did it and just give you the information. I'll let you choose how you want to make yours. But yeah, man, this is a human being business. So we got to be okay with the unknowns. Gotta be secure in that.
Absolutely, man. And I just kind of feel like I'm at the point where I'm not afraid to lose anymore. I'm by nature a very risk averse person, but taking this step, I feel fearless now. Like I'm not afraid to lose. So let's say something happens to the house, like it floods, or a lot of tenants not away. There's some explosion and everything is lost. Let's say worst case scenario, I don't even get an insurance payout.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Like if everyone's safe, I'm cool. If, like you said, if I got to start over, I'll start over. For me, it's like it's just some money. I could make it back. I could save again. I could figure it out again. But I'm not gonna die. So, it's fine. You can start over again. But I think it's a mentality many of us can adopt. And like I said, it's totally against my nature. I'm naturally a conservative, risk averse person. But at this point, I'm not afraid to lose anymore.
Great. That's how you got to be, man. Not only just like I said in real estate, but that's just in a lot of different businesses. Like I've been a part of a lot of different businesses before, man. I've done parties, I've done weddings, I've done I used to fix cell phones, like fix the screens. So I've done a lot of different businesses, and I always ended up starting those businesses later than probably what I should have, because I was scared of this or scared of that. And what if I don't get any customers? And what if I make this website and don't nobody call me to fix their phone or whatever. I'm like, well, you can be guaranteed that if you don't take the step, you won't get no customers. That's guaranteed. Or you can take the step, put your all into it, and then let the chips fall where they may. You know what I'm saying? I know if I don't invest now to get assets, to get properties, to start businesses, I know I won't amass wealth. I won't. That's guaranteed because I ain't even start. But if I try and I take the money from one property, put it in property number 2, and then use property number 2 and get 4 properties, and take the money from 4 properties and get 8, and it just becomes that snowball effect of wealth. If I do it that way, well, my chances are more than likely that any loss that I have from one property is going to be overshadowed by the profit from the other property. So my biggest thing now is I just want to get more. Like, I'm not worried about losing from this one going bad. I'm like, look, I need to get more so that if anything happens to this one property, well, hey man, I got 30 more properties. I got 40 more properties, and the damage is going to be virtually none because I have just so many income producing assets, man. I'm just trying to build this empire of assets, brother.
Definitely. Definitely. So what's next for you in Dayton, man?
Next for me in Dayton, I'm going to be going out. I'm going to take my wife and my kids. We're going out there in the summer, looking for some more properties. I'm gonna let my wife still hasn't even seen the property, so I'm going to do my yearly inspection. I'm gonna let her do yearly inspection. I'm gonna have like a checklist and everything like that, and she can go through and just make sure everything looking good. And she has a more rigorous eye than I do. She's more thorough. Yeah. So I'll let her go ahead and do that. We're going to be looking for property number 2. Going in the summer, going to do that, man.
I feel you.
Keep building.
Definitely. I wanted to touch on this a bit earlier, but I know we spoke when we met up. You mentioned that you didn't go there. You didn't see. You hadn't visited when you purchased the property, and then shortly after that, you went there to do some of the work on the property. Is that right?
Yeah. So so we bought it with a tenant in place. A week after we bought it, the tenant wanted to move out. So they moved out, and then me and my dad, we went down there, painted some walls, fixed the window, and like cleaned the place out. And then we got a new tenant in there, so we wanted to get a tenant ready. And that was the time that I actually saw the property. So, and I was telling my dad, I was like, man, it's real quiet on this street. Like it was like eerily quiet. Like, cause you going to a new city, you know, a new state, you know, it was, and then, so here's a funny story. When I got there, I get off the freeway and you can either make a left to like go downtown, like you'd be immediately downtown, high rise buildings. It looks like what's the movie, Home Alone, like you know what I'm saying, it just looked amazing. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. But that was if you get off the freeway and make a left. I made a right, so I'm going down and I'm like, man, it's looking okay. And then I saw like bacon building, so like a cop car. I was like, oh no, man, I was thinking in my head. I didn't say it out loud though, because I don't want to freak my dad out. And I was like, man, I want to see like you kind of what the locals are doing. I want to like talk to the people. And so we go to a gas station. I'm like, I'm gonna get some coffee. And I go to get coffee, and I pull like I'm looking for a cup, and I'll talk to the guys like, hey, you guys got a cup for a coffee? And he has like maybe an 8-inch thick bulletproof glass window, and he reaches behind and gets the cup and puts it through the window and gives it to me. I was like, what? For a cup?
A cup? I've never seen that, man.
I've never seen that either. And all the streets of Watson, Compton that I've been down, like, fam, it's that bad. You gotta hide the cups, bruh. They still in your cups, man. So that was a funny thing, because my dad, he looking like, man, where you got me at? They can't even leave the cups out. So we ended up going to the place, and it was cool. Yeah. It was cool. The place was good. Man, you know what? They're furnaces, bro. I've never smelt a furnace. Like, I don't know. Like, there's furnace smells. Does it smell different to you?
I didn't even notice. I didn't even think to check that out.
Man, it smelled. These are all side stories, but yeah, nah, I didn't see it, but I had faith that I was getting a good buy, and I combined that with data, Google Street View. My realtor took a lot of pictures and did video and things like that. I talked to certain real estate agents that worked in that area, that worked in those type of neighborhoods, and they told me where I was buying was block by block, and just my block just happened to be in a pretty good area. And then I used the city data, like I said, like tours to a couple streets over to really nice. So I knew at least in that area, I ain't gonna have no problems on that side, because if you're making that much money, you're not gonna be having a whole lot of problems. And then I typed my address into like the Dayton police database to see what type of crimes were going on in the area. Nothing too crazy, nothing that I haven't seen. So I was like, all those things combined, I felt very confident to buy this property without seeing it or ever going out there. And I would be more than comfortable to do that again.
Definitely. And what was it like? So I want a couple more things. What was it like trying to find a tenant? 'Cause I know you're self-managing right now, right?
Yeah, so I self-manage.
Like finding the tenant and like lease and all that stuff. How did you figure out how to do all that?
Okay, so let's see. The lease. I got a lease off of Bigger Pockets. I bought like they have different lease packages depending on your state. And then you can like customize it to whatever it is that you specifically want to say in the lease. I didn't change anything because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to mess nothing up. So I got the lease from them. And I promoted my property on Trulia, Zillow, and Realtor.com. And I have my realtor put a lockbox on the door. So when I put my property on the MLS, or not on the MLS, but Realtor and all those good places, and I had people send me their applications or tell me they're interested. Once they told me they were interested, I would email them the application. They would fill it out, scan it, and then send it back to me. I would then do a background check, because all this can be done remotely. Do a background check, employment verification. Once everything checked out, I told them like, okay, cool, you're ready to go. Scheduled a move-in date, have them pay me first month's rent plus a deposit. Once I got the first month's rent and the deposit, I tell them the move-in date. on the moving date, I give them the code to the lockbox. Boom, that's your key. Congratulations, this is your new spot. And without ever having to see them or them see me. And I kind of like it that way.
Yeah.
Because I want to be hands off, but still be hands on. That's my way of being hands off and hands on at the same time. So.
Definitely. Did your realtor help you out with like the showings for people?
You know what?
Or was it just they just looked at the pictures and that was it?
They just looked at the pictures, man.
Oh,
like
wow.
it was. I got so much.
How many hips? How many hips think you got? Off the top of your head?
At least 30.
In like what period of time? Like a couple of days?
About a week.
Wow. And how long did it take you to like secure a tenant thereafter?
It took me. Let me see. I found them, and then we went through the process. About 10 days, and that was mainly on my part because I didn't want to rush through it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even rushing through it or not.
Sounds pretty quick to me.
Yeah. So I mean the background check. So Experian, you can do a background check on someone, well, a credit check on someone through Experian. Like if you have and tell them you're a business, and you can do the background check, and it won't cost you anything. The tenant, they'll pay for their own background check, and as soon as they'll pay, the Experian will let you know, and then you can view their credit report and things like that. So I mean, that's super fast. I had the person that I have now, they gave me a whole year worth of pay stubs.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I was like, man, I don't know about no 2 months, man. I need 12. Give me 12 months. I need to see you've been working for 12 months. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but this is my first time, so I didn't tell them that. But I was like, nah, I need 12 months. I gotta make sure you're gonna pay me. So yeah, it was I got it from I just seen a bunch of people doing it, and I was like, you know, I guess I let the blogs influence me in one direction. Into having a negative connotation of like, oh man, I should probably stay away from this. But I was like, okay, well, let me let someone that I see doing it the right way. Shout out to Todd Millionaire or Todd Billy.
Todd Millie.
There you go, man.
Partner with Millie. He changes Instagram name every other week.
I think it's partner with Millie, man.
Partner with Millie.
Partner with Millie, yeah. So and I saw that, you know, him and other people, like they were doing their properties like remotely as well. So I'm like, well, I mean, if they can do it, I want to see if I can do it as well. So I kind of let their actions kind of influence me and kind of gas me up to think that I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I started to do it, and I saw like, well, it's not as hard as I thought. And you know, I don't mind having certain calls and things like that because I want to know how to do it before I hand it off to someone, because that's just how I am. Like I want to know first. Like I'm not saying I'm gonna always do it, but I want to know the ins and outs of my personal property so that I can have property management tell me, oh, I need a new furnace. I'm like, bro, I just put a new furnace in there. Now maybe I don't know. You need to go back and tell somebody else that, but you can't just be telling me anything. So that was kind of like my thinking.
Definitely, man. That's really cool. Yes, as far as what's next for me, so a friend of mine who I grew up with back in New York, we're going to partner together to buy something in Dayton. We're aiming for the first quarter of next year. Yeah, man, for me, so he hasn't been in the market yet, so I'll probably go with him to visit in the next couple months. And, you know, meet up with the thing is, like, I've met more people, so, you know, got some boots on the ground. So just head out there, connect with folks, meet up with the realtor who I got connected to and see some properties. And, you know, hopefully we find something there while we're there. And if not, that's fine. You know, we got pictures, we got videos. And, you know, and something else I'm kind of thinking back. I'll address that after. But yeah, so that's the plan for me, man. I'm trying to get as much as I can in that market until, you know, it's until, you know, it's too expensive or until it's not lucrative anymore, which I don't see happening anytime soon. So I'm trying to buy as much as possible. As far as where in the city, it would mean a lot to me to get on the west side, man, and get something there. I think that would be really, really cool. I'm open, but it would be really special to get something in the Black community. Yeah, man, I just want to get more in Dayton, man. Like I said before, I think it's one of the best kept secrets. Maybe it's not the highest like appreciation market, but who cares? There's money to be made there, man. Yeah, steady growth. That's kind of, my thinking. I'm toying with the idea of doing self-management, like you said, just to get some hands-on experience, just to see how it is. My property manager now, they're pretty cool. They're kind of irritating me now because so my tenant has pet rent of $50, and
yeah, I've been hearing you mention that in your previous podcast. Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for. I guess it definitely was an accounting error. So I'm still waiting for the pet rent from November. They included December, but I've been like texting back and forth with the person, and she's trying to get on. I guess they're closing out year-end financials and stuff like that. So that's like, I'm like, you know what, maybe. So I'm toying with the idea. I might mess with it and try it for the next deal. Maybe not, but they need to run me my $50.
Yeah, I would say that I'm not like I wouldn't tell everybody to say, oh man, everybody needs to self-manage, because it just depends. Like for me, like my job, it's a little flexible. Like let's say I needed to go out of state and I need to take a week to go out of state. I'm flexible in that regard where I can do that. And so that's why I feel like everybody gotta weigh what you're more comfortable with and what you're not. Like, can you take a call in the middle of the day? And that time difference, be, bruh, man, my tenant will call me, not for nothing like crazy. They'll like, I think she called me one time to ask me like, what was the name of my handyman, right? But she called me 9 a.m. her time. Well, 9 a.m. her time is like 6 a.m. my time. And so I'm like, man, why is she calling me? So I'm like, oh, well, it was 9 a.m. her time. So, it's just little stuff like that where it's like, if I got to be at work at 7 and you call, you know what I mean? So I would, it's cool though. I look at it as it makes me a more well-rounded investor, that when I tell people I manage my property, they look at me a little differently. They just look at me differently. Even like a bank, they'll look at me differently. They look like when I tell them, like when I'm want to get business financing, and I'll tell them, I invest and I manage my own property, and they'll say, well, from out of state. And I'm like, yeah, from out of state. Like, what do you mean? Like,
boss.
And so, I would say, man, try it. I think, man, if I can do it, I know people say that all the time. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But truly, if I can do it, brother, I know you can for sure, man. You're like, you a lot smarter than me.
Yeah, man. So we'll see. They've been pretty good otherwise. The tenant, I think it's just a guy and his mother. Like I know their names. They have like their whole like system, like whatever their thing is, where you can see the financials and tenant, all that stuff. I saw the lease and all those things. So,
nice.
Well, this little hang up is not gonna get me out the game. Like I'm gonna get my money, one way or the other. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna get it right. Like it's just kind of like y'all should be doing that correctly. But anyway, let me not go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, man. I'm excited about Dayton, man. I'm excited to go back because I feel like when I came back, I just learned so much more and kind of connect with people. So I want to hit up this spot. I want to go on the west side. I want to drive over here because I didn't know where to go when I was over there. I was kind of like, I went downtown and did that whole thing. I went to the Air Force Museum. I went to like this car museum. So I did some stuff, but now it's like I want to do even more, and I want to go back to the house like, yo, this is mine. Like, I'm going to take a picture in front of it and everything. Like, yo, this is my house. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you can kind of let it soak in more on your second. Like your first trip is like, you like, man, I own this. Like, I don't know. At least for me, it's like I never owned a house before. Like, I can just go and like, yeah, man, it's yours. Like you can do that. I'm like, oh, I can just walk in and stuff. And
Yeah.
people, you know, I was meeting people and my prospective tenants was like 50 years old, and my dad's there and they're talking to him like he's the guy. He's like, nah, it's that guy right there. I was like, oh, snap. Yeah, that's me. I'm the landlord. Like it just, you know, so on your second time, I feel like you have, I feel like time slows down and you can kind of let it soak in and you can be more methodical about who you need to talk to, what type of people you need to meet with, what specific areas do you want to see. Like now I have specific areas in my head that I'm like, man, I want to go and see that area. I want to see this zip code. I want to see this, you know what I'm saying? Like yeah. So I feel you though, man. I got some spots that I want to for sure see.
Yeah, we got to share some. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I'm just thinking back to like when I drove past this house. I didn't know it was gonna be the one that I got, but I drove past the area, and I'm just like driving around aimlessly, and now it's like, yo, like when I go back, it's like I'm an owner, I'm an investor in this city now. Like I could stand and look at this house, and this is my house. You know what I mean? Like someone is paying me to live there and putting money in my pockets. I mean, I think it's gonna like it feels cool now, but just going back and seeing it, like, yo, like I did this. That's crazy, man. So
yeah, man.
Definitely.
Hey, I know the feeling, man, for sure. That's what's up.
Definitely, man. Oh, this was cool. This was cool, man. I just know I can't wait for us to do like an update in like a year on kind of where we are, what we have in our portfolio. It's gonna be crazy, man. I'm excited for the future. I feel like, you know, the best is yet to come. You know, we're just getting started, man.
Absolutely. Nah, and you know, I can say within a year, I plan on, you know, just growing at a rapid rate. You know, I kind of am finding out just little things to look out for, little tricks to kind of get certain deals and trying to find, you know, off market deals and working more with wholesalers and things like that to kind of accelerate the growth. You know what I mean? So, it's yeah. Dayton, man, has a special place in my heart, man.
Me too, like man. Me too, man. Yeah, it definitely has a special place in my heart, man. Like I think even as I'll probably go back at least every year. I mean, maybe I don't have to, but I'll probably go back at least every year. Just I don't know, just to like soak in that feeling, because you know, as your portfolio grows, it's like, dang, you drive around, it's like these are all mine. You know, like you know, even like I need to like refresh or kind of like, and it's a cool like, you know, it's a small city. You could do just about everything there is to do in a day and a half, but you know, it's also like a cool, calm little place. You know, so hey. I like it.
And for my Detroit people, you know what I'm saying? It ain't too far from Detroit. So I got my eye on Detroit. I haven't bought in yet, but I'm definitely looking at it. And so ain't too far from Detroit. So who knows what the future holds. You know what I mean? So
definitely. Yeah. Well, appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on. This definitely won't be the last. You know, we'll definitely have some update interviews and kind of, you know, checking in. Perhaps we'll check in periodically on how things are going and what we're looking at. But you know, for me, I just wanted to show people, you know, these are two guys from California who are investing in Dayton, Ohio. We had different ways we got there. We had different reasons. We looked into the market, different methods and strategies we used to get in, and you know, we shared what we want to do going forward. So it's just to everybody, you know, if you want to invest outside of your market, it's possible. You know, we did it. You know, we're not, you know, we work 9 to 5s, but you know, we're doing this too, so it's possible. And where can people reach you, man, if they want to talk to you more and get to know more about what you're doing?
I'm on Instagram, morewealth_let's talk. morewealth_let's talk, man. I'm about action. If you ever talk to me, you know, I'm a pretty quiet guy, and you know, I speak when I got something to say. So Yeah.
Same here, man. Same here. Silent assassins. Silent
Yeah,
assassins.
man. Yeah, silent assassins, brother.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You can reach us at Black Real Estate Dialogue on Instagram. Check us out. Hit us up. Let us know if you have comments, suggestions. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Looking forward to this coming out, man. Looking forward to playing it back too. But
Yeah,
as always, we'll definitely be in touch, bro.
for sure, brother.
All right, man. You have a good one.